You are welcome to Session 4 of Unit 1 under the Curriculum Studies in Physics module. My name is Patrick Eji, and let's take note that in Session 4 under Unit 1, we will be looking at the elements of curriculum. And at the end of this session, you should be able to mention the 4 elements of curriculum, explain each of the elements of curriculum, and finally, explain how the elements interact for effective curriculum implementation. Now, let's look at the elements of a curriculum. So we mentioned in our objectives that we have 4 elements of a curriculum. And these 4 elements are always in constant interaction to enhance effective implementation of the curriculum. And these elements are the purpose, which talks about the goals and objectives, the content or subject matter, that is the second element. The third element is the methods or the learning experiences, and finally, evaluation. Now let's take a look at each of the elements of a curriculum. So with purpose, and the purpose of a curriculum is based on the social aspirations of the society. So every society has what they cherish, and so in designing or developing a curriculum, this must be taken into consideration. So the purpose is based on those social aspirations. The purpose also outlines the goals and aims of the program. And finally, the purpose is also expressed as goals and objectives. Now, under the goals and objectives, there are 3 categories that we will have to consider when we are looking at goals and objectives. And these 3 categories are the cognitive domain, which refers to the intellectual task or the cognitive skills. We have the psychomotor domain, which refers to the muscular skills, and the affective, which refers to feeling and emotions. So these are the categories of goals and objectives under the purpose. Now let's look at the content or the subject matter. And the content of the curriculum is also divided into bodies of knowledge. So for example, we can have physics, we can have science in general, we can have mathematics. These are the bodies of knowledge. We also have outlines of the desired attitudes, the values, and the cherished skills. So for instance, when you take the physics syllabus, you realize that the student, after going through the physics syllabus, should be a problem solver. The student should be somebody who is creative. The learner should be innovative. These are desired attitudes. These are skills that the learner must attain after going through the curriculum. And the content is also determined by prevailing theories of knowledge. So the selected content can be based on the behaviorist way of learning. It can be the constructivist. So based on these prevailing theories of knowledge, the various content in the curriculum are being selected. Then the content also caters for the ideological, the vocational, and the technical considerations. So the belief system, what the learner must be able to do, all these are provided in the content, so that after the learner goes through the content in the curriculum, these skills must be seen in the learner. Now, with the methods outlined in a curriculum deals with the teaching and the learning experiences as well as the organizational strategies, so that every topic has a methodology that will best suit it. So, for instance, when we take physics, for instance, a concept, a method that will enhance the effective teaching and learning of, let's say, density may not necessarily be okay when you want to teach pressure. And also, when we talk about the organizational strategies, you realize that the concepts have been arranged in such a way that whatever ideas that students gain in a previous lesson is likely to influence the subsequent lesson. So, for instance, when we take physics, you realize that the first topic that learners have to go through is the scientific units and measurement. Over here, students are taught how to derive units of quantities. They are introduced to basic quantities, derived quantities, and their units. And so when you now move on to teach something like density, learners are now able to derive the units of density based on their previous experience from scientific units and measurements. Now, evaluation. What is evaluation used for? Evaluation is used to select appropriate content based on the aims and objectives of the curriculum. So, the content has been provided, but as to whether the content that were provided in the curriculum were based on the objectives of the curriculum, it is only the evaluation that can provide an answer to that. The evaluation also helps to select appropriate methods to address the content and purpose. So, for instance, in teaching a particular topic, you as a teacher employed demonstration. However, at the end of the topic, you gave out an exercise and you realized that the intended objective has not been achieved. Based on your evaluation, you can use a new method to teach that same concept to find out whether the objective set has been achieved or not. The evaluation also helps to check the effectiveness of the methods and the learning experiences that has been used. And also, it helps to check the suitability and the appropriateness of the curriculum in answering social needs. Now, we made mention that the curriculum is designed based on the social aspirations of the society. So, based on the evaluation, we're able to determine whether the content in the curriculum was appropriate to answer societal needs. And then, evaluation also gives feedback to planners, the learners, the teachers, industry, and society. So to planners, it will help them as to know the kind of content they must include in the physics curriculum. It will help learners to find out whether to know how well they are doing on the content they have gone through. And it will also help the teachers to know whether the various methodologies they use in teaching the topics were effective or not. Now, it should be also noted that whenever we are conducting evaluations, judgment must be made regarding the input, the means, the content, the output, and the outcomes of the whole learning process. So we must make judgment concerning all these components. Now let's look at how these four elements interact for effective curriculum implementation. So this is a cyclic form showing the interaction of the four elements. Now, on top here, we have the purpose which talks about the goals and the objectives. And then we have double-headed arrows moving through. What it means is that we can decide to move from the left or to move from the right. So let's take one side, moving in the right direction. So we have the goals and the objectives. Now, there must be methods or learning experiences that will help us to achieve these goals and objectives. Now, how do we ensure that the learning experiences were able to achieve the goals and objectives? We do evaluation. Then the evaluation will now tell us whether the goals and objectives have been achieved. Or we can continue. Based on the evaluation, we will now select content that is appropriate for the learning experiences. And the content will also tell us whether the goals and objectives have been achieved. We can also take the goals and objectives and move straight to evaluation. Then from evaluation, we look at the learning experiences. Then from the learning experiences, we come back to the goals and the objectives. So you see that these four elements interact in ways, and their interaction enables or helps in effective curriculum implementation. Now, students, in this session, we have looked at the elements of curriculum and how they interact. And we saw that there are four elements of curriculum. And these four elements are the purpose, which talks about goals and objectives, the content or the subject matter, the methods or the learning experiences, and the evaluation. I hope you enjoyed this session.